If there's one thing that can completely revolutionize your academic, professional, and personal life, it's knowing how to study effectively. Actually understanding and keeping the knowledge you collect is one of the most powerful tools you can have, and it can be applied to virtually all aspects of your life. The problem is that this topic can be rather clouding and overwhelming since we're not really taught how to do it. So in this video, you will be presented with a complete and structured study guide composed by combining the most effective study techniques in the scientific world. Specifically, this video will focus on the best methods of studying for memory retention and understanding. Now, Frank Christ is a very experienced expert in the field of education, as you can tell, and he originally developed the PLRS system as the optimal studying method for schools and colleges. But it doesn't matter if you're in school or at work or really anywhere else. This is equally applicable for things like studying, working, university lectures, tutoring, and a lot more. As long as someone is giving a presentation and you want to remember it, this is the optimal way to do so. The P in this system stands for preview. So before the class, you'd want to skim over the material that will be covered and just note down some ideas and questions that come to mind. Like, what does the material make you think of? And try to connect it to other subjects and your personal life. Drawing connections will help you increase your interest, it will develop understanding, and it gives you more retrieval cues to help you remember the topic more. This process overall should be quite quick, around 5 minutes or so. When you're in class, try to be as engaged and as attentive as you can. Try to take notes and jot down any questions you may have, no matter if they seem unrelated. Questions actually pique your curiosity, and if you answer them, it helps you understand the overall concept much better as you're connecting it to your personal interests. When you're taking notes, there are some popular methods that students generally prefer, and they're listed as follows. I won't go into too much detail here since they're pretty easy to research about, and you're welcome to quickly search them up to see which one is best for you. Reviewing doesn't quite mean studying just yet. Reviewing is just recalling everything you learned in class, making sense of the contents, and polishing your notes. And it's best for this to be done as soon as possible after the class so that the information is freshest in your mind. This would be the optimal time to not only plan out the following study session, but also your future assignments. And then, have times that are specifically dedicated to studying. But how do you actually study? Who knows? Just kidding, we'll go over that in more detail soon. And after you're done with studying, it's really beneficial to just go over it and see how you did. You can ask yourself questions like, did you accomplish your goals? Or were there distractions that you would like to eliminate? And we'll go over this in more detail later as well. You may recall in the PLRS system there was a step called studying. But how do you actually do that? Well, the first step towards studying involves the Feynman technique. Richard Feynman is one of the most famous physicists in the world, and he was regarded as one of the most brilliant and influential figures in the post-World War II era. Feynman has made significant contributions in the world of quantum mechanics. He is one of the first to introduce the concept of nanotechnology, and he has won many other awards as well. He attributes his ability to understand these complex topics to a simple 4-step technique known as the Feynman technique. The first step: choose a topic and study it. Again, more on specific study methods later. The next and most important step of the Feynman technique. As a wise man once said, if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. So, try to act as if you're explaining your topic to a child. Or, you could also try explaining the topic to someone who doesn't know much about it. The point is for you to simplify the topic to extremely understandable chunks, allowing yourself to gain better understanding in return. And, since you're explaining it, that ensures that you're covering all necessary and important parts of that topic, providing a comprehensive review. However, since explaining it covers all important aspects of the topic, you may have saw some gaps in your understanding after explaining it. And that is good. Now you know what to improve on. Note these down so you can study them later. Always remember to reflect and refine your knowledge and understanding. The fourth and final step of the Feynman system is to create some analogies and connections to further deepen your understanding. These connections could be to other subjects or even your own personal life. Then, try to clarify the topic until it becomes obvious to you. You can do this by simplifying it, or even repeating the Feynman process. We've mentioned studying in both the PLROC system and the Feynman system. And now we finally get here. How on earth do you study? Well, to study the best you can, you will need to use the best studying techniques. And there are a few study techniques that are much better than others. Techniques such as rereading, highlighting, summarizing. These are all bad study techniques. Well, not to say that they're bad, but compared to others, they are ineffective, and they have been dubbed low utility in certain scientific studies. They may feel productive, maybe because they don't require much effort and so can color relatively more. However, if you want to study for optimal study efficiency, you will want to incorporate the following concepts into your study sessions instead. Retrieval practice is simply the strategy of recalling information from your memory. It sounds really simple, but it's actually really effective. There was a research paper that investigated 4 study groups. 2 study groups used retrieval practice in their study sessions, and 2 didn't. And the 2 groups that didn't use retrieval practice got only 36 and 33% in their final tests. However, the groups that did use retrieval practice got about 80% right. What a difference just from the simple technique of retrieval practice. Now luckily there are many ways of incorporating retrieval practice into your studying. And flashcards are the most popular. It's not the most groundbreaking advice, yes, but there's a reason why they're so widely used. When you look at the prompt, that triggers you to answer, and that practices retrieval as you search your brain around for an answer. And after you have your answer, just flip the card over to verify. It's pretty simple. Be careful though, you need to avoid using multiple choice questions, as this doesn't use retrieval practice since you'd simply be recognizing the answer, which is much easier. Multiple choice can be useful when you're first learning a subject, but not if your goal is to maximize memory retention. The Leitner system is a popular method of flashcard studying if you want somewhere to start. When you're learning something from a material, for example, your notes or books, close it after you consumed a good portion and just try to explain the ideas in your own words. Even better, you can try writing everything down so you know what you missed. And once you finish, open the material again and just fill in the things you missed. Like flashcards, this technique directly forces your brain to retrieve information, which strengthens your memory retrieval and long-term retention. Practice tests are simply fantastic. You get a style of the exam so you're more mentally prepared, you can see where your mistakes are and where you can improve, and the whole thing practices retrieval. And to get practice exams, you can try asking your teachers that are going online, but if you really can't find any, you can always use AI to generate some. Now, AI questions probably won't be perfect, but they're still better than nothing. And when doing practice tests, it would be even better if you could mimic the actual test conditions. For example, the same amount of time, the same resources. For example, you can't use a calculator, or you can even try replicating the exam location and environment. Similar to practice tests, you can also give yourself some questions to check your understanding. These questions don't have to be big or formal. They could just mean, for example, creating a few questions after reading a chapter. The next technique is interleaving. Interleaving is when you mix or interleave different subjects or topic when you study. The opposite of interleave studying is block studying, where students concentrate on one topic their entire study session. And research has shown that interleaving well outperforms block studying. Interleaving enhances your ability to correctly recall and use your existing knowledge to create solutions to unfamiliar problems. Even better, the advantage of interleaving is more effective when there is more content to study. The same research paper also concludes that interleaving further enhances your memory and problem-solving accuracy. Another independent study clearly shows the dominant advantage of interleaving, represented in blue, compared to block studying. And this could be really beneficial when you're interleaving study topics. It's best for the topics to be related in a way that you could confuse them with each other. Despite the advantages of interleaving, however, if you're learning new material or if you're not familiar with a topic yet, it may be better for you to use block studying instead, as in focusing on one topic, as block studying may help you avoid confusion if you're not familiar with one topic. Spaced repetition is simply studying over systematic intervals, but again, it is really effective. The reason spaced repetition is so crucial is because we all have a forgetting curve, which is the scientific way of saying that your memory fades over time. And what spaced repetition does is that it restarts the forgetting curve. Another vital benefit to spaced repetition is that it trains your long-term memory by repeatedly exercising the neurons responsible for retrieving that memory, so you're more likely to remember in the future. And there was a study done on spaced repetition as well. Children were divided into 3 groups. One group used spaced repetition to learn, the other learned their materials in one day, and the remaining group had a mix between the two. But the thing is, all children received the same amount of total lessons, but look at this result. Black represents spaced repetition, while white is concentrated revision. Congratulations, this is the last step of the study system. Now after you finish the study session, just take some time to reflect on it. You will gain invaluable insight. Firstly, consider some questions on your productivity. For example, did you accomplish your goals? Did you stay focused and engaged? Were there any distractions that affected your focus? It's also important to identify the strengths and weaknesses of your work session. For example, what did you do well and what would you like to do better next time? And based on your evaluation, make some adjustments to your next study session. If you found that retrieval practice worked really well for you, for example, keep doing it. And if you found that maybe you were easily distracted by your phone, consider putting it somewhere where you can't see it. Subsequently, set some goals and deadlines based on your adjustments. It really helps if you write them down so you remember explicitly how you can improve and what you wanted to keep in mind. And if you continuously review and refine your study sessions, filtering out the negative influences and bolstering the good ones, you will exponentially improve. The feedback you get from this is unbelievably helpful. And this is it, the entire complete study system. You're more than welcome to take a screenshot if you like. And thank you very much for making it this far. I hope you have something to take away from this video. And for now, until next time.